A very good Wednesday morning to you, and here in Manchester, dreadful, windy, cold, grey morning, so we shall leave that one behind. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to do the first of four watch reviews, and these of course are the reviews for the STEINHART watches that XJ Steve kindly lent me. Kind of what I've decided to do, because I was a little bit unsure where to go with these. I'm going to actually make these reviews quite short, and they're going to be more based on around assuming that everybody doesn't need to be taught how to suck eggs. You will have all seen the same videos I've seen regarding STEINHARTs and people's different views on them and how they're made, etc. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you the kind of just salient points of the watches that make them the physical objects they are, and then kind of go into what I've experienced from wearing the watches over the last few days. And hopefully that'll kind of give you a bit of more of a personal insight into what these watches are, what they suggest to me, where they've got their influences from, and so on. So let's move on to the first one. Now, what I did try to do, I was going to do these from a POV perspective, but my digital camcorder was not giving clear enough images really to do a video justice for this, so I will sort it out, and if I can then sort it for the next time, I will. So this is the first one that we're looking at here. This is the STEINHART Ocean One Grey Dial OVM. Really, what you've got here is what I would class as an archetypal diver. It is what it says on the tin, basically. You have a beautiful stainless steel case with a gorgeous, gorgeous ocean-style bracelet. You have a very, very good quality clasp, which is a fold-over lock clasp and the opener, with what I consider to be a very, very high quality pressed steel inner clasp. Now, looking at that, comparing that to other expensive watches I've seen recently, because obviously I've been watch shopping, I find that to be very, very high quality indeed. It isn't thin pressed steel, it must be about 1.5 to 2 mil. And it's very good quality, and it feels very, very sturdy. So that clasp in itself kind of indicates to me the quality of watch that we're looking at here. So the watch itself, what I like about it, we have got a beautiful sapphire crystal, which is absolutely delightful. It is also beautifully domed. You see that? Now, the dome of that crystal is very, very reminiscent of my GMT Master Pepsi. Very reminiscent. But of course, my Pepsi is a plastic, crystal. It's not an actual sapphire. It is a gorgeous thing to behold, and it lends, in my view, kudos to the little nod that this watch seems to be paying to the Rolex reference 5517. Now let me know what you think about that. I think the whole image of this watch is giving, in fact, a little bit more than a little nod. It's giving quite a substantial nod to that particular watch. Inside the case, what we have is a ETA 2824-2. Now, I'm very aware that there's lots and lots of people out there who do not like ETA movements for some reason. Now, personally, I quite like ETA movements. They are a reliable workhorse movement, especially the 2824-2. It is something that has been proved over time, and it is a very efficient movement because, of course, it's got 25 joules, which allows it to run smoothly and accurately without any need for calibration after a relatively short time of wearing, unless, of course, you treat it very badly. I love this grey dial. Now, when I first got it out of the box, I thought, well, you know, hang on a minute, grey dial, what the hell are they talking about? Because in the light that I got it out of the box, it actually just looked a very, very dark grey stroke black. But as I got it out of the box into the daylight, I saw that it was this gorgeous, light, charcoal grey. Now, what I'm going to say next, I think is going to upset one or two people, especially some Rolex purists out there. This grey dial kind of reminds me of my Hulk. Yes, I know. So why does it remind me of the Hulk? Well, it reminds me of the Hulk because I bought the Hulk, as you know, for the delight of the green dial and because of how it changes in different light conditions. I have found over the last 2 days of wearing this that this little baby, in certain light conditions where it is bright and clear and sunny, it is this beautiful charcoal grey colour. In certain other lights, it changes from a light charcoal grey to giving little hints of brown. And then when the light kind of disappears or you're not in direct sunlight, it can actually look black as the dial on a traditional subby. So I do like that about it. I like that very, very much about it. The lume. What I love about what they've done here is they've given it that vintage look by making it the off-white or antique white stroke orange lume. The beauty of that is it tries to give a further nod to the very old divers of the 1950s that showed the way to everybody else that started making divers for the people who actually either just like dive watches or, God forbid, strap tanks on your back and go diving. The size of the watch is 42mm. Now, I'm not too sure with my measurement because I measured it with a rule, but it's either about 42mm or about 41.5. It wears very nicely on my wrist, but then again, I have an 8-inch wrist. What this watch wears like, it wears again very much like my GMT, which is a 40, and I find that the wrist size on this, I think anyone who is 7-inch wrist or above will be able to wear it, no problem at all, and I don't think it will take up too much space. It will not look bulky, and it will not look ostentatious in any way, it being a big bulky watch, because it just isn't. Again, the width of the watch is about 13mm. Now, I did measure it with a ruler again, so I may be out a little bit there, but it's about 13mm, and I think that profile is absolutely lovely. Now, looking at that now, when I did my living with my Hulk for a month, I think I put my Hulk and my GMT side by side, and I recall the profile of my GMT looking very, very similar to that, which I don't think is a bad thing in any way. The bracelet is beautifully made. It is substantial. It is screw link. Let's try and get in there for you so you can see. There you go. Look at that. It is polished on the end of the links, and the bracelet itself is partially polished, partially brushed, which is delightful. The actual quality of the bracelet, there is very little rattle. Very little indeed. There is some, but this is not a Rolex. This is not something that you've spent 3, 4, 5, 6 grand on. This is something that's €3.5, €4.5, €4,500 for instance. So for what you're paying, the bracelet is absolutely fantastic. On the rear of the watch we have the Steinhardt symbol, which is Poseidon with his trident. I'm assuming it's Poseidon, but it does look to be wearing some form of Greek warrior's helmet, which I don't think Poseidon ever did, looking to spear a seahorse. There you go. That is beautiful. I do like that logo very, very much. For me, it kind of echoes the hippocampus on the back of my Rolex, my Omega Seamaster 300 Professional. Apologies about my finger. Did something very silly yesterday. Decided to do some work and took a chunk out of it. Hey ho! It has a screw off back, which is obviously echoing what it is, which is a diver. I have found wearing this that there was one thing that actually impressed me very, very much, which is the AR coating. Now, what they've done here, they obviously, as I said, have got this sapphire crystal. But what Steinhardt have done, which I think is a great idea, and all manufacturers should do this, they have a double layer of AR on the inner side of the sapphire. So why is that a good idea? Well, if you are unfortunate enough or fortunate enough to wear these things, you will know that when you go to your friendly optician, they will say to you, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, would you like anti-reflective coating on your lenses? And you say, that sounds like a good idea, I'll have that done. So they then go ahead and put the AR coating on, and within about a week or 2 weeks you put a scratch in that coating. And can you get it out? No, you can't, and it's always, always in your eye line. So with this, putting the AR coating on the internal of the sapphire, that can't happen. And that's such a good idea, and it is still as effective as having one coating on the inside and one coating on the outside, as some manufacturers do. Why they don't all put it on the inside escapes me, because if you do scratch the AR coating on the external surface of your crystal, you can't polish it out. I don't care what anybody says. There is only one way of doing it, and that is using something called Jeweler's Rouge, which, as the name suggests, only jewelers have it. It's very, very hard to buy, and it's also quite expensive for something that you're going to use once every blue moon. So, you know, manufacturers, if you're watching this, go down the Steinhardt route and put it all on the inside. I think that's a very, very sensible thing to do. So, kind of bringing this to a close, because I've got 4 to do, I'll try and keep them all relatively short. What I like about it? Well, what I like about it is how it wears. I have an 8-inch wrist, and that is how it wears on an 8-inch wrist. It is lovely. It is absolutely lovely. Would I own one? In a heartbeat. Why haven't I got one? Well, I said this in another video. I missed the boat on the OVM Mark 1. I missed the boat. Having seen this and having worn this, am I more likely to buy a Steinhart? Yes, absolutely. Why? Well, I think Steinharts are one of those very divisive brands. I think the same can be said for things like Aramar and things like that. Because there'll be a lot of people out there who just don't like a, excuse me for saying this, a cheap knockoff homage of what is essentially a classic Rolex. What you have here is a delightful watch which is giving a respectful nod to a classic Rolex. It isn't copying it. It isn't really a homage to it. It is just something that looks a little bit like it. Something that, like, you have these little faded memories in the back of your head and you think, that sounds like something else, or it tastes like something else, or it looks like something else, but you can't quite remember what. And that is what this does. It obviously has a screw down crown and so on and so forth. It is a delight to use. It has been a delight to wear. And the timekeeping, yes, all right, I've only worn it for 2 days, but it's been bang on. Absolutely bang on. But as you know, that doesn't particularly bother me. I don't care if my watch is 10 seconds out. I really don't care. My life is not that governed. So, what don't I like about it? Well, there's very little, but the only concern that I do have, and I will try and get a shot of this for you, is those hands. Now, it's not the loom on the hands that I don't like. It's not the shape of the hands I don't like. And saying I don't like it is a little bit wrong, because it's a bit of a misnomer for my complaint. And I'll try and show you. If I come in close here, and certainly the material used to manufacture those hands is very, very thin. And especially, I feel, the hour hand. The hour hand is amazingly thin. Now, I appreciate that all fingers on all watches have to be thin. Of course they do. To keep the weight down so that the gears and springs, etc., have the power to move them. Of course, I appreciate that. But these just seem a little bit thinner than most. Now, is that just me? I don't know whether that's just me. Am I being nitpicky? Possibly. I am quite happy for somebody to say to me, Stuart, you're being completely nitpicky there. Leave the poor boy alone. That is the only thing that I have found with wearing this watch that could be a little bit better, maybe. Now, it could be, because I don't know, that Steinhart's newer models maybe have addressed this. Maybe somebody in Steinhart have said, you know, those fingers do look a little bit as though we've cut corners there. Maybe they've addressed that. If you have got a later Steinhart and they have addressed it, let me know. If you know if they have addressed it, when they addressed it, and what they've actually done, and whether it is an improvement, and whether it's actually made the watch feel more substantial. So if you're thinking about buying a Steinhart, whether it's this one or any of the other 3 that I will be doing reviews on, would I say buy one? Yes, absolutely. We are not all in the position of buying an Omega or a Rolex or any of the other prestige divers out there. Quite a lot of us, if not most of us, love our dive watches. We love them. So if you want a beautifully manufactured, great looking, and I want to say this advisedly, homage piece, which is not going to cost you the earth, then the Stoneheart OVM grey dial is a good route to take. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm not sure that you will enjoy this video as much as I've enjoyed wearing this particular watch. It has been a delight. I am looking forward to wearing all the other three and bringing you this time of video on them and telling you a little bit about them all. It is gorgeous. It is glorious. It is very, very affordable. So why wouldn't you buy one? Other than thinking, well, you know, it's a copy. It's a Mickey take. It's not the real thing. And it is none of those things. It is none of those things. So there it is, people. My personal review of the OVM grey dial. So that's it for this one. What's coming next? Well, what's coming next video I don't think will be a watch video, but the one after that will be another review of another one of XJ Steve's watches, and it will be this. Look at that. Look at that, baby. Is that gorgeous, or is that gorgeous? I can't wait to strap that on my wrist. That'll be going on the wrist today. I will wear that for a couple of days, and we will bring you my view on this one. So, as always, questions, queries, suggestions for this kind of nonsense, answers, opinions, your opinions about Steinhardt. Am I wrong? Am I completely wrong? If I'm wrong, tell me why. If I'm right, tell me why. And other than that, it's been great to talk to you. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you've liked it and it's found it kind of informative, although I've not, you know, it's not a strict review, because you're not idiots. You know as much about watches as I do. Give it a thumbs up. And if you like this style and it's your first time here and you think it's quite interesting, press that subscribe button, which is down here, I think, somewhere. I always get that wrong. I mean, it could be down here. I don't know, but I think it's down here. And that's it for this one, and I shall speak to you again very soon. Bye-bye.